What is up, everybody? Ryan the Mighty Quinn here, the Cornerman _ MMA. Um, Messing around with a new camera angle. Let me know what you think about that. So recently, it was Wednesday. Uh, Fedor Emelianenko said he would like to fight Mike Tyson in a boxing match, and I know we're all snickering at it, but let's face it: a lot of these circus boxing fights, they're happening now. They're big and they're a big draw. Um, Now, especially MMA going into boxing or retired MMA fighters trying to make, Jake Paul doing it well. And you know what? There is a market for it. There is totally a market for it. Me personally, I want to see that fight. I would love to see that fight. And I'm a traditionalist. We'll get into that in a second. Now, let's talk about where the fighters are at in their careers, right? So Fedor, obviously wasn't the same his last few years fighting in Bellator. He wasn't doing what he was doing in Pride, Strike Force, knocking people out, Elite XC. His last fight with Ryan Bader, um, I was emotional looking at that picture in there with Dan Henderson, Chuck Liddell, Crow Cop, all the old Pride guys and UFC legends. Rampage was in there. That was like my getting into the fight. That was my getting into the fight game when I was younger, the mid early 2000s. So Fedor always brings that. Everyone wants to see the last emperor one last time. There's plain and simple. Now, Mike Tyson, obviously, he just had that fight with Roy Jones Jr. a couple of years back, and it went kind of the way everyone thought it was going to go. Everyone was playing careful. Now, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Now let's talk about that for a second. So now Bellator's, they didn't do the pay-per-view with Fedor, but I want to put things in perspective now when it comes to drawing power for these guys. So Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson drew 1.6 million plus buys for that pay-per-view. To put that in perspective, UFC 290, one of their biggest cards within the last arguably 5 years, drew just over 1 million. So these guys are still names. They still draw. People still want to see them. Now, let's get into the actual fight of it. I want to see it, like I said. Now, I know a lot of you people are going to be like, oh, why do you want to see these guys do this to their body? CTE, all this. I am with you. I agree with you 110%. I don't want to see nobody get long-term damage. But now here's the kicker. So let's face it, Fedor's not calling out Mike Tyson 15, even 12 years ago in a boxing fight. Clearly he knows Mike wants to play it safe. Nobody's going to get home. Nobody's going to get too hurt with this. Mike Tyson, look at the last Roy Jones fight. Yeah, he wants to play that game. He wants to fight like that. But there is a way that we could do this where we could see what we want to see and have those fireworks. They need to do this circus fight. I'm telling you right now. But like I said, it's a circus fight. You got to have circus rules, okay? Nothing to the head, body shots only. We're going to see who's really going to rip, who's really going to drop. Then we'll see if Fedor really wants to have this fight. Nobody goes to the body like Mike Tyson. Absolutely nobody. I can't think of any time where I actually saw Fedor boxing. Fedor was known for his big right hand and his submission game. I can't think of a time where I actually saw Fedor boxing. Now, to elaborate on that, there's a big difference between being a really power knockout artist in mixed martial arts and boxing. This is where the game gets friendly for people with power, raw power. Chuck Liddell is another good example. Knockout artist. Not a boxer. He had solid kickboxing, not a strict boxer. Now, this style of boxing would really force Fedor. We're really going to see Fedor box in this one. No body shots. We got to get to that head. Have the jabs, figure it out. You got to open it up. We used to train like this all the time to try to force boxing, work the body. Try to work, no headshots. I said no body shots. No headshots, work that body, work your angles. Let's face it, two heavyweights probably ain't going to work many angles, but this is the way that fight needs to be done. We're going to see it on top of that. This is going to force them to go into the second, third, fourth round because it's going to take a little time to open each other up. And then no one's going to take horrible headshots. We're not going to get into there with the excitement and then some bad knockout's going to happen and we're not going to be upset. We're going to see real two old dogs going at it in boxing, throwing joints at the body. Personally speaking, I'll tell you right now, like Glover Teixeira always said to us, if you catch a nice body shot, you may need to take a round off. You're not taking more than a round off. If you have to take more than a round off, then you probably shouldn't be fighting. But body shots suck. You know, they those liver shots are nothing. I remember the first time I got hit in the liver, my rib cage restricted me. I couldn't breathe. And it's scary because you don't know what's happening. You literally can't breathe for a couple seconds. So you take a round off, you're back at it. You're not, it's very rare that you get extremely damaged ribs in that unless you're constantly digging, which probably wouldn't happen in this fight. Now, as we know, if you get a bad headshot, it could end your career. At the bare minimum, you're not sparring for at least a month, at least, and then you got to get checked out to make sure you're cognizant. So we could do this. We could have this fight. We could have the fireworks. We could have the circus. We could have the two big names. We just got to play it safe. And by doing that, we're still going to see fireworks. So I am all about this fight. I want to see Fedor versus Mike Tyson within the circus rules that I'm putting into effect. Let me know what you think, guys.